Welcome back to another episode of Cinema d'Amore. Your host, Chuck, joined by
Justin Morgan. And I have to say, Chuck, I really like the way that you started. No one else can see you, but you put your head down before you started and then rose it up. It looked like you were in a boy band.
You gotta prepare. And yeah, we're back. And this week, covering Ari Aster's latest film, Eddington. I gave him another chance. Was not a fan of Beau is Afraid. We did that not too long ago, and was not a fan. I don't think I hate that movie, but it's probably definitely my least favorite of his. You know, him and Joaquin, they came back again and gave it another shot.
Yes, and we've done podcast episodes on all of Ari Aster's movies so far. It really helps when you only have 4 movies, but we've done them all. The other ones have been wide. You know, that translates well into the people seeing these movies, because Hereditary and Midsummer, his first and second feature film, were widely successful, and they're huge episodes on our podcast. Beau is Afraid, we didn't do Eddington yet. We're doing Eddington. They were not box office successes in the least, so I'm interested to see what happens with him. Maybe he does something low budget? Maybe he doesn't work again, because that's also, unfortunately, how things go.
Yeah, maybe he goes back to just more straight horror, like his first 2 films. But yeah, I will say I did like this better than Beau is Afraid. I think it's still a bit too long. I mean, most of his movies are all decent length, but still probably could have trimmed some stuff here and there, cut some stuff out. But I did think this was an improvement over Beau is Afraid. You know, just the characters actually felt more like real people. It is more of a real, I guess to say, a real life type story. It's all about, COVID. It hits a lot of like real life subject matter. Doesn't get into the fantasy of some of his other films. This is his most grounded and realistic film, although it does go off the rails.
It does get into some fantasy elements for sure. Not on the level of Beau is Afraid. This kind of made me want to return to Beau is Afraid, because I really like Joaquin Phoenix in that movie, and I hate him in this one, but it's the character he plays. He's such an awful person in this. They double down on it.
Yeah, but that's at least what I'll say. I enjoyed. I know what you're saying. Like you like him in Beau is Afraid, but hate him in this movie. It's like, I don't know. I hated him even more in Beau is Afraid, because he's such a not character in that movie. Like he's such a blank piece of paper that just walks around and doesn't do anything. Like this movie, yeah, you're supposed to hate him, but he at least was doing something, and was a character that I was like, okay, I at least like understand this guy, and like
he left his apartment, Chuck.
Yeah,
he did things. He got stabbed a few times.
The homeless guy that walks around in this movie feels like he feels like the connection to Beau is Afraid, because he feels like a character out of Beau is Afraid, like one of the guys in New York or wherever he starts out at. Like that feels like one of those guys that would be walking around the streets, like, yeah, attacking people.
Yeah, this is his Western, which it actually does feel like an old-timey Western. Eddington is a made-up town in New Mexico, and it's late May that it takes place, so they're dealing with, COVID lockdown, everything all this information that everybody in the town gets is just from their phones or the internet.
Yeah, they're all on social media. They're all kind of obsessed with it. And then weirdly timely is the Minneapolis stuff with George Floyd, which is happening again, more or less. Yeah.
Right now. Well, as of this recording, who knows what else has happened, but they literally killed another man yesterday, 2 days ago now, I guess, from the time of this recording, and they killed Renee Good a couple weeks ago. So it's the same shit. It's almost a repeat, except for the COVID part. maybe what the end of this movie implies is the new issue that we have, which is
Yeah,
when you go with the the recent past, you always have the hindsight that you can put into your movie. They have one big issue in this movie. Well, maybe not one big issue, unless you want to say it's everything that stems from COVID. But then you have this other one that's just it's starting to brew, and to them it's nothing. They don't even no one is even worried about it in this movie. So, but I'll get into that one,
yeah,
the end. But
yeah. I like how it starts out with everything's COVID, and then yeah, everyone's like angry and always mad at each other, and like it's very clear right off the bat that he's got a problem with the mayor Pedro Pascal's character. Like when he gets called to the bar and he shows up and he tries to be like, I can't hear you. I can't hear you with that mask on. He's like, you can. You can hear me. I know you can. Like he's like, no, you gotta take that mask off if you want me to hear. And then like everyone gets paranoid when the drunk guy breaks into the bar and they're like, that guy doesn't have a mask. And sheriff walks in and he doesn't have a mask either. What are we doing here? What's gonna happen?
I mean, and we learn later he's got asthma. He gets that homeless man who I would say has COVID, definitely coughs hard in his face, which
Yeah.
implies he's also gonna get COVID.
That guy's just coughing on everyone in that town, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's it's basically like a town on the verge of destruction type movie. It's so real at times. I don't know if I could call it satire, but it's satire maybe slightly. Like I feel there's so many different character types that fit into that exact time, but they all kind of fit realistically. I think the cult leader that is in it isn't that far fetched.
Yeah.
I guess that nobody is widely far fetched. They would be probably if we didn't live through this time, but it is like in a microscope. The way that
He
it's just
doesn't
a smaller scale of
yeah.
what's going on in America.
And he doesn't go he never does go like super political on anything. Like the most you see of like anything with like politics or something is like every once in a while when it shows somebody's phone and they're like scrolling through Instagram or Facebook or something, you'll see like Trump on their phone, like with some kind of quote or something, but he never like all out goes and has like people that are like full on MAGA in the movie. He never goes that far into it with something like that, but there's people in there that like the one white deputy that he has that you're like, oh, that guy would definitely be a MAGA guy. He's the well, why can't they just protest peacefully? I don't understand. I think if only those people would just do the right thing. And he
Yeah.
has his mother-in-law that's like obsessed with like all the conspiracy theories. She's like making the making the printouts. It's like I thought she was just emailing that to you. Yeah, well then she checked my email and saw I wasn't reading them, so then she prints them out and hands them to me. Like people know I know people like that are like they're like I was on the internet the other day and man the stuff I read and it's like what on like what website were you just on like a random Google site like yeah, did you actually look something up and see that?
Yeah, a lot of the production design and I guess visual effects for when they do the stuff on the phone, it's very telling about characters just from them scrolling and seeing what's coming up, what's advertised to them. And I like small details. What is the what's the slogan on his car that's like it has the wrong
He's got so
your?
many. Oh yeah, yeah. I know all of his things have like bad grammar. I think he has like didn't, but it doesn't have an apostrophe or something like that. Like they're all like real bad, and it's like that. It's yeah, it's real. It's telling like that because I don't even think he printed those out. He has his deputy do it for him, the one MAGA type guy. So it's like that guy printed all those out, and they're all something. Yeah, it's is it like you're the virus or something like that? But it's YOUR without an apostrophe RE or something like that. It's like they're all real
Yeah,
bad, and
let's
it's
not
like
turn Eddington, New Mexico into Facebook, New Mexico, and it's got all the crazy stuff with like I mean,
mates on and saying,
yeah, you hear a lot of stuff with the George Saros, the
yeah,
Antifa. Yeah, I mean, it is very much political without it. That's like the only disconnect is like no one's is like you said, MAGA, where they're Trump this, Trump that, like that. That's been taken out of the equation, but it's still very prominent. It's just the ideology of what some of the stuff that was spread around that time. I mean,
yeah,
everything's being spread, but I also really like the characters of like the kids that are protesting
yeah,
and their their archetypes are like nothing has happened to them, just like everything that has influenced them is everything that they've read online. So, like, there's that scene where the girl is talking with her ex-boyfriend, the 3rd deputy, who's black, and they're for Black Lives Matter, and she's ranting about, like, I shouldn't even be saying this, like,
yeah,
I have the privilege, I shouldn't have been saying this, but, like, you should be here, and I don't deserve to say this, and I haven't experienced it, like, and it's like, Jesus Christ, like, they literally picked and then the character that's obsessed with her, I like
the other
how
kid copies it later at the funeral for the mayor when he like is like, I
Right.
shouldn't be allowed to stand here and say this, and I'm going to respectfully be quiet after I'm done making this speech. Like
Yeah, he's and then his archetype,
the
he's
random
a
scene with him and his dad cracks me up too.
yeah,
Like that random, it's such a small insert scene of him being like white people are the problem, Dad. We're so privileged, and the dad just
there's all these guns and
are you
stuff in the
retarded or something? You're
yeah.
white. Like just yells at him, and that's the entire scene. It's like just that quick cut of the two of them together.
I mean, it makes sense for it actually is important because of what happens to that kid at the end, like his trajectory, like he's very clearly supposed to be somebody in the real world, or he
Yeah,
mirrors somebody in the real world very closely, and I think that scene's needed most of all to kind of like connect it.
yeah. The other part I love with the when they run into the protesters and start finding out about this, and I guess you could say like this is part of like is it because it's not in their in like their algorithm for their feeds because they ask they ask Michael the black deputy, they're like, why didn't you tell us about this George Floyd thing? And he's like, I mean, it was everywhere, like it was all over the news, like I kind of figured you'd have seen it by now, like how did you not hear about this yet? And the other part I love about that scene is he keeps Joaquin Phoenix keeps going, Michael, are you okay? Like they just randomly at different times, and he's just like sitting there, like not really reacting, and and just they're like, so like they're watching the news footage, and it's like protests breaking out, violence happening, and he just keeps going, Michael, are you okay?
Yeah, and you also have the Pueblo people on on the border of that town. Very early on, they're like they fight over their jurisdiction and their complaint. This is like where you learn who Joaquin Phoenix's character really is. Joe Cross, Sheriff Joe Cross, like what type of person he is. When they're like, you got to wear a mask, and you're he's like, I just came from that house and it was in my county. So, and they're like, yeah, but you're past the line now. So you're in our county. And then he like mocks that guy he's like, this guy ain't even wearing it on his face right. He's got his nose hanging
Yeah,
out. Like, you
yeah,
tell me
this
he's like, and then that guy becomes a big character too because he's almost always present. He becomes more present after there is a double homicide and he becomes another like pestering problem for Joe. Butterfly, I think is Butterfly is his
yeah,
name.
yeah. He's I guess everything about he's like the only like actual good cop in the entire movie that like actually I don't know knows how to do investigative work because like it's like, oh great, guys are just walking through that crime scene, and then they're like, check out this purse, and one guy just picks it up with his bare hands, and he's like, oh great, just ruin that evidence. That's all getting thrown out now.
Mhm.
Like you
It's
don't mess
not
up my crime scene. This isn't a crime scene. It's a toilet bowl now.
yeah. Well, no, and he is good. Like all his intuitions, like always spot on.
Yeah,
He's definitely one of the smarter characters in the entire movie.
he sees the writing, like literally sees the writing on the wall, and he's like, you're gonna have to get
He
that to the
literally sees the
handwriting
writing on the wall.
experts. Gonna have to get that to the handwriting experts there. It's like, oh, you think so? You think that's the thing we need to do?
The premise is more so like this mayoral battle that's going on, but I would also say it's like a third of the movie at the most.
Yeah,
It basically we Pedro Pascal's character is the mayor, and Joaquin Phoenix, Joe Cross, he's the sheriff, and they. I don't know if he's Ted Garcia, right? Isn't that Pascal's character? I don't know if he's necessarily like unchallenged as the mayor, but you know, Joe's wife has a past with Ted. Ted's like the complete opposite of him on literally everything, every subject. So they butt heads constantly, and it goes crazy. Like when he basically has another event because he keeps doing this and he keeps saying it's for like council stuff. At this point, he already says that he's running because he helped a guy get his groceries who refused to wear a mask in the grocery store. But then, yeah, he owes the Garcia's house because they're having a fundraiser. Because at this point, he's already like a political opponent, and it's really fucking funny. I think because I don't know if it's just the music choice, but they're playing
music book helps with it. Yeah,
Katy Perry's Fireworks playing very loudly. And then it's like this fight between like turning it on and turning it off, or like turning the volume down and turning the volume back up. Actually, I there's a lot of elements in this movie that are like cartoon-esque. They really, really, really work like old Warner Brothers Looney Tunes cartoons. This is one of them where he gets slapped in the face. Joe gets slapped in the face by Ted, and then he leaves and, you know, obviously makes more awful choices in life following that event. I also like to like small character details. I was thinking of it like there's a moment where he's watching something on his laptop, and you can it's not taking up the whole screen of the laptop, so you can see all his icons are all over the fucking place, like just to show you that he's like a disorganized person. But yeah,
yeah. This also definitely carries. Again, I don't know Ari Aster's whole life or past, but this would be the fourth movie. Every single one of his movies has something about the parents being bad people. Because this is definitely it's it's she never does flat out say Emma Stone, his wife, but it's very heavily implied that she was abused by her father, who they like. The mother like keeps like a shrine of him in the house and is like he was the greatest person of all time. And yeah, they come up with they keep saying the wife and or his mother-in-law and Joaquin Phoenix's character. They're like, no, it was Ted Garcia. He must have abused her or something like that. And then she goes on this big thing that's yeah, when she gets connected with Austin Butler, who's yeah, seemingly a cult leader, and his whole thing's about like saving children from being abused and stuff like that. He's like, it was definitely Ted, right? And then she makes like this giant video that she posts on Facebook that's like they lied about it. They're faking it all.
yeah. When I bought the movie, they sent like political ads to me for Joe Cross and Garcia for mayor. And yeah, it is another like the you want to live in San Francisco? I didn't think so. Vote Cross. Ted and his son they are both brutally murdered by Joe Cross. The scene is like I do think Ari Aster is like excellent at horror because it's such a disturbing scene the whole way it goes down, where Pedro Pascal is like it's like maybe the same. I think it's the same day that the fundraiser happened at their house,
Yeah, it's at
and
the end of the day. Also,
yeah,
that's I that scene's good too when he starts walking in because they never like bring this up either. but he has like against his one wall, he has like piled up like toilet paper and paper towels and everything like piled up in his living room, and it's like so he's a COVID hoarder. That's like it's like when they're like, don't just take all the supplies for yourself, when it's very clearly like just him and his son living by themselves, but he still is like hoarding all the supplies for himself.
Mhm. Yeah, and then when he starts talking to he sits down, like, hard day was work, he's tired, then he sees that girl's purse there, and he starts bitching, like, "Nobody's supposed to be in this house, we got these you're gonna get us all sick or killed or blah, 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 blah,"
Even
and
though he
then,
had
like
everyone there at the party.
yeah, and then he gets sniped, and it's so violent. It's also, like, you see, like, the muzzle flash from, like, way far away in the in the outside the window, and then it's like window shatter through the chest, squib, and then like he gets quiet instantly, like he's like instantly dead. So then you have the son that's like, "Dad, what's going on?" and comes on out, and it's the same thing with like that horrific. It's so fucking quick, but yeah, you see the muzzle flashes, and then that kid's down, and we cut to the shooter immediately. It's like, yeah, this is Joe, who has an excellent shot, more or less. He stupidly steps on one of his bullet shells, his casings, so he leaves one behind at the crime scene. I don't know how, because you fired his gun 3 times, he should have been like, "I know there's a third," but he's kinda casually like, "Whatever," and then
And
he
he just
goes in.
assumes that no one will worry about it. Well, he keeps because he technically shot from Pueblo land, so he,
Yeah.
he kind of just assumes that like those guys are idiots. They won't be able to do anything anyway. Which they like. Yeah, that guy Butterfly like immediately is like found the shell casing out there, and they're like, "Well," yeah, Joaquin Phoenix like, we don't even know if that's like, just leave it on the table and we'll take it from there. Like, he's like, I don't even know if that's a thing. Like, stop getting in my crime scene.
I do like how they're like, "It's Pueblo land." They're like, "What are you talking about?" Like, found the casing from who? And it's like, "This guy." It's just a random guy. They're like, he's always checking the borders and stuff. They're like, "Fuck." But
Yeah,
yeah,
when
when
he's
Joe
just
goes
doing everything, he's like checking the tire treads on their vehicles when he's by the thing, and he's like, yeah, Joe keeps getting paranoid. Yeah, so then he plants the evidence on his deputy Michael to make it look like he was definitely the shooter, and
right.
that kid comes in and is like, well, yeah, I was trying to make him jealous, so I was sending him pictures of his that girl with the mayor's son, so that's definitely why he probably wanted to kill them. Uh,
Yeah, that
which yeah,
kinda
and then
worked out well because I don't know if Joe actually pieced together that the son had that connection with Michael, or he could have blamed Michael.
I don't think so.
Um,
I think he was just like trying to pin it on him because it was like a convenient person to pin it on
yeah,
to be like, oh, he probably wanted to kill him because of Black Lives Matter. Like that was like the what he was like going to use as like the motivation was it was just like a racial thing or something like that. Which I
but
like, but the kid's Mexican. He's like, well, they don't like the other minorities either because they're just taking up all the space from them.
I also really love the evidence that he takes to plant on. I don't know if at that moment he knows it's gonna be Michael, but the evidence that he plants on Michael, it's like this watch that's very specific to being the mayor. It's like that's like another thing that like I feel like it has that like cartoon aspect where it's like Joe's mind, or he's like, "Fuck it, this is I'm taking this." So there's no we don't have to do any crazy investigation. It's clear as day who this came from. He graffitis on the wall. That's where you get the writing on the wall, uh,
Yeah,
part 1, where he writes like his Antifa message or whatever to make it seem like or like a Black Lives Matter protesting message.
that seems
So,
funny too when he's standing in there butterfly and he's just like looking at the board and then he just stops everything and just starts running out of the building and Joe's just like, hey, what are you doing, where are you going?
yeah,
He
because
just
he's doing his
immediately starts
campaign from the
panicking.
sheriff office, so he's writing on that, dry erase board, and he's
Yeah,
the
and
writing
he,
he
and he
needs to do.
recognizes it. He just like Joe immediately just starts panicking and being like, hey, where are you going, what are you doing, like what's happening?
Yeah, runs to the mother-in-law, her house, and they're like, "Does Joe have guns here? I need to know if Joe has guns."
And then it's
But
like, yeah, I think that's where you get maybe like the most like cartoonish or ridiculous part of the movie is like that it's that they're basically like they kind of make a joke out of what all like the any like MAGA or right wing conspiracy theorists are like, we know they just fly these Antifa terrorists into towns to kill people, right? And it's like there's literally guys on a guys on an airplane with like Antifa signs, and they're like training for war to go to the town to take out Joe Cross.
they're also, like, in a private jet, so it's like that there's some very rich person behind this.
And yeah, again, it's supposed to be implied that it's like, yeah, probably because like George Soros is paying him to fly there and
I
take
don't
this
think it
guy
necessarily.
out.
I mean, it doesn't they never say who they are, so they could also be plants to be Antifa very much like
Well, yeah,
he already
something.
did. But, yeah, it's like once, Michael's locked up, and then we kinda have, like, this mini George Floyd crisis in Eddington, that's when it, like I guess they're on the map. Also, it could be because another huge thing is the data center that they wanna build, and
Solid Gold Magikarp,
yeah,
which is a hilarious name.
Solid Gold Magikarp. It's a huge data center that they wanna build there, which it comes down to, like, the classic, "It's gonna bring work in, but it's gonna kill all our resources." And, like, there's the one sign about, like, "Do you want the animals drinking water, or do you want this computer drinking all of our water?" It could all those people could also very much have been sent because of those people, because they want this thing to go through. But, yeah, I feel like the real, like, crazy Looney Tune shit really starts probably when we hit the climax of this movie, and Michael's escaped from jail, and the other deputy guy, the one that you talk about, he's, like, more the MAGA conspiracy theorists, like, super scared because like, even they have that scene I thought was funny when the crowd's protesting, and he's all geared up in, like, riot gear, and nobody else is, like, everyone else is just like, I don't think it's that serious, man." Yeah, they have, like, this showdown in the desert. Like, Michael's out there with this fire in a can, and they talk about the smell of gasoline and stuff, and then there's, like it gets fucking weird with the drone and stuff, but, yeah, he gets called out there. I don't necessarily know if they're trying to kill I guess they were trying to kill all of them, but they successfully killed Guy, and then they just injured Michael, and they injured Joe. But then you get in this, like, weird, like, the guy that runs into his truck and drives off, who's, like, the drone driver or the drone pilot, and then it becomes, like, this weird thing of, like, him facing off against these people that are, like
They're just everywhere.
they're everywhere, which yeah, I mean, I felt like this is where it kinda gets the most Beau is Afraid-esque, where, like, that paranoia really sets in. But yeah, when he's and then, like, where it starts to feel like Looney Tunes stuff to me is, like, he's running across that roof, and he falls through the roof, and then he
Like the
destroys
Wax Museum.
yeah, he drops on something that he destroys, and it says, like, something about Geronimo, and I'm like, "Okay." And then he gets to that point where, like, he goes into that
Runs
building
into the gun store.
for cover, and then it pulls back, and it's a gun store, and he comes out with a giant gun.
But yeah, it's very much it's 100% like Rambo, the First Blood movie. Like he comes out with just the giant machine gun.
It
Which
made me
yeah,
think more like a video game, like a Grand Theft Auto, like, walked in and walked he no way he would have been able to prepare that as fast as he did, but yeah, he was like Rambo. He had, like, the largest machine gun possible, and, he's taking everybody out. Well, I don't even know if he's really taking everybody out. He takes out Butterfly, who just happens to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. I mean, I think he would have probably maybe he did it subconsciously, but I think that it solved a lot of problems for him to have Butterfly taken out. But yeah, it's such a violent scene where you're like, yeah, Butterfly gets his leg blown off, and then Joe for like 1 second's like, "Whoops." And yeah, they're just like these random people. They're all over the place. So, I mean, I don't know if they all kind of, when you see them, have that same like aesthetic, military esque aesthetic that the people on the plane had that were sent in. But yeah, you have the climax of the scene when the dude comes out around the corner and he starts charging him, and he can't get him at enough time. Like doesn't have any more bullets, so he's just gonna swing his gun like a bat, and he gets stabbed very violently on the
Stabbed in the
head.
head.
He gets stabbed in the head and stabbed in the chest or something, and then that Brian kid saves him. He shoots him. He kills the guys. He somehow gets the upper hand and kills the guy, and then he becomes like a huge.
That's a great transition. The transition of it like playing the news footage of him, saving the sheriff. After you do get like a little bit of the audio of like they take Joaquin Phoenix to the hospital, and that guy's like, fever of 105, he's got to go to the tent, and they're like, are you kidding me? He's like, what? He's gonna die anyway. Like, look at him. But he's got COVID. Like, he can't come into the hospital. You got to just put him in the tent. So it's like you just assume he died. But yeah, the transition from that to Brian's thing that turns into like some long TikTok video of he's very clearly turned into like a right wing you know star that like they'll put on Fox News and stuff to like argue about like yeah, actually you can't have that type of violence, and yeah, those protests, they got out of hand. You can't do things like that, even though he was like, because again, he was faking everything the whole time. Like, nothing he said was ever real about wanting to be at the protests. It was all just, he was just trying to get with that girl.
That's all he wanted. Yeah, he becomes like a Kyle Rittenhouse person where, he meets up with Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I like the footage too, because like when you have his perspective at first, where the first person perspective of Joe Cross, where he's laying on the ground and Brian's like, he's like, I saved you, man. I saved you. You're alive because of me. And then when you see his footage, like Joaquin Phoenix looks 100% dead, laying on the ground like, I saved you, man. I also like too, because like when you get into the year later, it transitions into the year later, and everything's sideways. You realize it's Ted Garcia's like right hand man, who's
like campaign manager, who's like showing it to him on his phone.
Yeah, like sideways, because he's like doesn't give a shit.
He doesn't know how to like turn it or change his screen aspect.
Yeah, where he doesn't realize that it's even sideways when he's showing it to the guy. But yeah, we see that they're opening the data center.
Joe somehow survived.
He's basically, he's nonverbal. He's paraplegic. He's the mayor. He became the mayor.
Yeah, still somehow became the mayor.
Maybe because he's the only one.
Michael became the sheriff because he survived.
Yeah, Michael became the sheriff that he wanted to be. And Louise joined that cult and is pregnant. And then the mother-in-law
is basically just running everything.
She's basically the mayor.
Because he's just the figure, because he can't do anything. That's such a weird scene later too, because it is like you don't even know at first, like, because they have such a weird relationship of like, when she brings him home, and there's the guy that's there is the nurse, and it's like good day, and he's like, yeah, just hung out, like it's just, he just lives there. And then when he goes like put him on the toilet, and he kind of freaks out, and he like slaps him in the head, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry about that, Joe. I didn't mean that. Then when they put him in bed later, and then you see like, first they put Joe in bed, and then the mother-in-law gets in bed, and then the nurse gets in bed with her, and they're just all sleeping in the same bed.
Yeah, it's very much Joe is being punished. He's very much being punished in this movie. He is one of the worst outcomes. And
then I feel like it's definitely implied that Michael's gonna try to kill Joe at some point. Like, he's still out in the desert. He's out in the desert in like the same place that Joe was, like training with his rifle. Like, it feels like it's like he's gonna eventually kill Joe for everything that he did. Like maybe he's gonna run for mayor next time, and he'll just kill Joe to get him out of the way.
Either that, or he's just or it's just kind of showcasing that he's very, very different from like the more passive person that he was throughout the whole movie. He's now like enraged, and yeah, loose cannon material. Who knows what he'll do? Maybe it's Joe. I don't know. But yeah, it ends on the data center being open, and it's like taking up more power. It looks more, it's brighter than the town of Eddington that's behind it. And yeah, that's like the thing that was like looming during this time, which is all the AI shit. And that's the stuff that I was talking about earlier that was like in hindsight. It's only making all the social media shit way worse now because there's a lot of people that can't tell the difference. I mean, there's things that I've seen that are subtle, and I was like, oh, like it's tricked me even. But I mean, then there's some really bad ones, and they're like, look, this person really cared. They saved this kid from the fire, and it's like that's fake as shit. What are you talking about? That doesn't even look real.
Yeah, that's why like yeah, I'm so used to if I see a news story, like my first thing is like even if it does seem realistic, if I see it on like social media, my first thing is unless it's from like an actual source, like I don't know, CNN or something like that. Like if it's just a random thing posts it, then it's like, well, who's this guy posting? Like my first thing is like go to Google, type in what that thing was, and then it's like 50-50 as to whether it'll be like that's an actual news story, and it'll be like, oh, okay, or it's like, yeah, that's a AI or deep fake thing that people have been sharing, and it's like, okay, glad I didn't fall for that.
Yep. I think yeah, that's the number one thing. Look at the source. If the source is questionable, try to see if somebody reputable has written about it or talked about the same exact thing. Because I think that's the biggest difference is like I personally do the same thing. Like I used to do that for when they'd be like, this celebrity's dead. And I'm like, let's see. Let's see if this is true. Because half the time it wouldn't be true. And it's like, what a weird thing to go around that somebody just started a story that you're dead when you're not dead. But yeah, also it's like, yeah, I'll hear something that like, oh yeah, that's great. But I don't really know if it's real. So if it's something like that, then it's not something that I would share. For example, you'll see stories like, here's a person that, fucked around and found out. And I'm like, that's a great story, but there's really no sources at all to even say if this thing is real or not. And then you get people that will like they're totally eaten up by all that stuff. Like I have families that would be I have family members that would be Joe Cross's mother-in-law looking at all the conspiracy stuff. And I think that Ari Aster did a really good job at fitting so many different real world like characters in there.
Yeah,
It touches on so many different things, so it definitely feels it's a film about this community, even though it's Joe Cross and Ted Garcia are the main protagonist, antagonist. They've done a lot to kind of like layer up the town. And I mean, at times it feels ridiculous, but I've seen actual footage of things that are equally as ridiculous. So, maybe he's got it spot on. They might be ridiculous, but they're things that would transpire the same way.
yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how I want to say like how this movie ages. I mean, he made this movie. It came out in 2025, so it was 5 years after COVID, and everything's weird because like a lot of like even looking and like watching clips from shows that you see pop up, like some shows just chose to pretend like COVID wasn't a thing. And I think they probably did it because they didn't want the show to look dated. Like they didn't want people to watch a rerun and be like, oh, that's from a COVID year or something like that. But then other shows like really leaned into it and had that as like major plot points. Like I think Shameless, like it was like that was like one of the last couple seasons of Shameless was like everybody's got masks on because they're all dealing with COVID, which I guess feels like it fits in with that because it's supposed to be like the real people in Chicago. Like, this is the things they deal with. So it's like some people, everyone had a different way of approaching it. So the fact that he made a movie that's very, very specific to a very particular time, it's like in 15, 20 years, are people going to like be like, I don't even get what he's talking about in that movie. What do they even mean when they say things like that? Like, oh, were people doing that? Like, it's like, I don't know. I feel like, is it going to be the same thing as like when you watch a movie that's taking place during like World War One, or like, I don't know, something with like the Spanish flu, you're going to be like, is that what was going on back then? Like how it's treated, or is it just going to be kind of put off as like, yeah, I don't know, that's Ari Aster's weird COVID movie.
I really hope in like 50 years from now, if somebody watches this movie, it seems so ridiculous and out of touch, and none of these things are happening anymore. Like the dream is that it just doesn't seem like it would remotely fit into the real world.
But yeah,
and everyone's like, "There's no way things were like this," and they're very, very much are like that on a way broader scale. Like, I've been thinking of that scene too, where they're at the protest and Joe gets pressured and he grabs that phone off the girl and he took my phone. And the casting is great in this too, because they all have very real world people vibes to them. Like, they all look and live and breathe like real people. But yeah, I did like this movie. I probably didn't like it as much as I was afraid. I also do think that this movie is a lot harder to watch because it's not the time that I want to revisit. But I don't think that makes it a bad movie. It's just, I don't think this is a bad movie at all. I think this is a very good movie. But yeah, you watch it and it's just sort of like, I don't know, anxiety inducing. I think that's his thing. That's what he likes. He has anxiety problems, and that's what he brings to the family, relationships, mothers, community. It's all goes back to anxiety, but it's just, where this person's coming from.
Yeah, I think that's it. See what you come up with next time.
Eddington 2. AI. Eddington 2 should just be this town's dead. And nobody's there, just a ghost town. Yeah, I'm interested to see where I go too, Chuck. I have no idea. I'm going to tie this in. I don't know if I'm going to do an A24 movie. I noticed the majority of the movies you've picked so far this season have been A24 movies. You're just working your way through all of them. You got one Neon movie in there, I think. Life of Chuck was not A24, so. But everything else that you've picked has been, where will we go? I don't know. I don't feel like I'm picking very prestigious movies. I think I'm on the other side. I just, anything weird, anything that I feel like we haven't revisited in a while, or maybe I haven't revisited in a while. We'll go from there. Thanks for listening, everybody. We're Cinema D'Amore. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with news and information on upcoming episodes. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, Pandora, Alexa, or iHeartRadio. It would be greatly appreciated if you subscribe to our podcast on your platform of choice. We also appreciate feedback, so rate us, review us, and let us know what you think. And above all else, thank you for listening.